Hello, everybody. It is so good to see you. And I'm tickled to be back with you today. And I'm hoping, let me know if you see a Linda Williams around today, because she's a new member. And then I'm getting a couple things ready for today's show. Of course, you know how I work. And I decided last night that I was going to try this newfangled thing. So I'm still putting it together. I can't wait to show you. And I love having a partner in crime. Someone who doesn't just say, oh, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Someone who says, you know, what if you tried this? Because he came up with a great method that I quickly switched over to. In fact, I'm so excited about it, I might even start with that first. So, because you know, I'm like a little kid. I get excited about these things and can't wait to do it. So, hello, how are you? I can't believe it's August 17th already, halfway through the month. And the kids around here have already gone back to school. So, wow. But anyway, they say it's going to work out better because they get to have their exams before going on Christmas break. So, we'll see how that works out. I hope it works for them. And my daughter went back to teaching 2 weeks ago, had a week to get her curriculum class ready, set up. Then this week, I think on Tuesday, the kids came back. So this weekend, her and Andy went up to the mountains north of Asheville, and they're staying in the coolest yurt. And you know what? I forgot to download the pictures, but I can still show you from the phone. And let me see. Let me find them. Okay. Let's see. Because this is so cool. Staying in a yurt. And, that is so neat. There is the yurt. And here is the inside of it. And if any of you aren't really sure what a yurt is, it's a circular tent. And it's a nomadic thing that peoples have used for a long time. Here's the beautiful view out over the field and the mountains. So I'm so excited that her and Andy got a chance to get away, thanks to the relatives from Italy, from Rome. And they're holding down the fort so Andy and Becky can get away all by themselves. Oh, that's so nice. If I could figure out what to do with 3 dogs, Mark and I we'd be in the mountains somewhere. Who knows? But let me grab a real quick drink. So, it's been a very good week. Oh, I forgot to tell you the important thing. Let me get my camera ready, because today's show is dedicated to, let me bring this picture up, a young man who I love dearly. Let me bring it over. I know I can. Okay. This is my Donnie. Behind him is his brother Russell. He is 5 years old today. So happy birthday, Donnie. And what a sweet kid. And this morning I did a little jitsi time with them and wish him happy birthday. And he and his brother are fully prepared with helmet and knee pads and elbow and wrist supports, because they have taken up skateboarding. So, and my son's right along with them, which I love. So happy birthday to Donnie. What a happy day that both of those boys were born. And their parents are unbelievable. And they live in a multi-generational house, so they've got grandparents right there too. So that's really, really nice. So they are growing up with lots of love. Okay. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. But, okay, let me come back to you. And so, now I hope I can figure out how to load back. Ah, it came back. I'm good. All right. So, what a week it's been. Oh, I didn't put up my new agenda. I know where it is. I left it on the printer. I can wing it. I know what I've been doing, don't I? But hello, hello, hello. Let's see all who's here real quick. I see Hopi's here. So Marsha's here. Charlene, Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. Cheryl has another new picture of her quilt progress. So we've got 2 pictures today. And Mayor, hi, sweetie. And Marsha Florum, our intrepid moderator. Love our Marsha. And Joe Sows, our second intrepid moderator. Hello, darling. It is so good to see all of you. I don't know about where you are. Let me keep looking. Kathy Klein is here. Hi, Kathy. I love all of her. I love her spirit. It shows up in her cute little icons that she puts by her name. Mary is here. Hi, dear Mary. Mary and Mitty, I have to apologize. I didn't get to the post office yet again. I am so sorry, but I'm going to do that. I must get better at this. So it is still so hot and humid here and raining almost every day. It's a mess. Cheryl's working on her quilt right now. Oh, we're going to cross our fingers for Mayor that she gets real good results from her blood work. Okay, we're crossing our fingers. Let us know, dear heart. Let us know. She's been such good incentive for me losing this weight and trying to get in shape. So we're crossing our fingers. Oh, I love Joe Sows. It must be hot out there too. It is. I feel like I'm going to go ahead and call this. It's the lost summer because it's been so hot and so muggy, and I have asthma. I go out, it's like I can't breathe. So, what a mess. But yes, we are definitely going to be thinking of our mayor. So, I'm really excited to be here. I have so many things. I got my mojo back. I've been working. And has anyone noticed anything behind me? This is the Snails Trail Al Fresco, and it is fully pieced. I did it, guys. I did it. So, there it is. Oh, hi! Wendy from Brisbane. Oh, how nice. And you know what? They're having winter over there. So, oh, that's really neat. But I got this thing done, and Hope inspired me to get back working on it again. I had to end up making 4 more of the square in a square sashing. Yes, we're tickled to have Wendy here. That's wonderful. And so I had to make 4 more because you can't see them really well, but they're the cornerstones. They're cornerstones in the border, because I wanted to bring, let me see if I can zoom in. I wanted to bring the color out into the black border. So see up in that corner, I made extra cornerstones to put in the border. But there is the Snails Trail Al Fresco, and I really do like it. It's very dramatic. I love, Mark and I were looking at it, and we were talking about how you can see the 4 big circles. See the 4 big black circle shapes? Then if you look, there's one in the middle. So, but it's the part of the one in the middle is part of the 4 in the corners. Then in the center of the circle, do you see the wonderful star? I love the stars in the center. Oh, thank you, Miss Mary. And then I was also looking, okay, look at the Snails Trail right here, right there. There are these little circles around the Snails Trail. So it's kind of a quilt that looks different every time you look at it. I have not quilted it yet. What I've decided, since it's so busy, is I'm going to quilt all of the background with black quilting threads. Then I'm probably going to use a dark gray and maybe a light gray and do some quilting in the little blocks. But what I'm thinking is then you see the chains with the snails. Oh, that's cool. I like that. Yes. Because you can kind of watch how it comes, they swirl around. So, but I want the quilting to be in the background. I do not want to compete with this because it's already so busy. One thing I really liked, it does look like a kaleidoscope. One thing I really like is the border gives your eye a rest. I think when I just had the main part of the quilt body done, it was busy from end to end. But having a solid border, I think, is a really good thing. So now I like the pattern so much, and you know what, using paper piecing is the way to go with this quilt. And if you ever want, anyone that wants the free paper piecing templates, just write me, and if you can, it's an optical illusion. It is let me type in our time to quilt, QUILT, and that is going to be at gmail.com. But anyone who would like the paper pieced patterns, then just send me an email, ask me for them, and I'll zip them back through email and you can print them out. Now, I had to make the 4 new sashing squares, and then I also had to make about 4 more diamond sashings. I don't know if I miscounted or laid them somewhere or what, but it was real helpful to have some extra diamonds, because when you get down to the last row, you're trying very hard to vary your colors and fabrics so you don't have repeats or like fabrics touching each other. So I just thought I would tell you that if you want to do the cornerstones in your border, make 4 extra sashing squares, and it's not a bad idea to make 4 more of the diamond sashing blocks. They're the easiest of all the blocks to make, so that was a piece of cake. But it gave me some flexibility to kind of shake things up. What was hard for me is probably, Diamond Girl, you're right. What was hard for me was making sure I had the colors interspersed enough. So I had enough of the yellows to kind of pop, and make sure I didn't have too many of the darks in an area. If you have too many darks, it can create a dead zone in your quilt. And if you look right here around this star, I just about got a dead zone. So you have to be careful when you're putting these together, because if you see these diamond sashings, 3 of them are a bit dark, and that will cause that to fade. If you look, this diamond, this block right here around the stars is all brights. So you kind of keep them mixed up. That's another thing to think about, is have brights and darks in each, where they're going to meet. Be thinking ahead a little bit, and if you have a little few extra choices. Just remember, Jenny Beyer taught me that in a quilt, have lights and darks, have all the different tonal ranges, because that is what will make your quilt pop. And it's very true. So there is my Snails Trail Al Fresco, and it's going to go on the frame this week. And then when it's on the frame, I will get it quilted. I'm looking forward to it. And so I will get that quilted. Hold on just a second. I'm trying to do something so I can show you. But, ooh, I don't want to get hot glue on my fingers. All right. So, can't wait to show you all this. I'm afraid of hot glue, but I'm trying to be very brave. But anyway, so let me think of what else. Okay, so the week and Donnie and Mark's out riding his motorcycle today. It's a hot one out there and humid. I have a feeling it's going to be a short one. Oh, so talking about a lost summer. I planted a bunch of flowers and have then watched them either rot away from too much rain, the deer eat them, the rabbits. I went out on the back deck the other day and there was a rabbit. And it was an unusual one. It had kind of long ears. So I'm like, it almost looked like a hare. And I thought, that's interesting. And there's been a rabbit out front. I haven't been able to go over to my garden because it's on the side of the house. And I think the last time I went out there was 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I fertilized thinking, with all this rain, might as well get it going good. And then I had these. You had the same problem. So I have had slugs started out first, eating like mad. Got some slug stuff for them. Ants have been everywhere. We put out traps and some little animal has been eating the traps, and then I worry about poisoning them. We've got chipmunks and squirrels galore. We had a bumper crop. We are going through a half a gallon of black oil sunflower seed each day. I have been enjoying going out and giving almonds and things that I can no longer eat to the squirrels, and they are very happy to have them. But I had these wonderful hibiscus, 2 hibiscus, and something was eating them off all the way almost to the ground. So we put some chicken wire around it. So then they came back. And then, as soon as they got anywhere close to the top of the chicken wire tunnel we put over them, something would eat them off. And I had a brand new blossom. I thought, finally, I'm going to enjoy a blossom off of these 2 bushes that I bought. Nope, something ate the blossom. So Mark went out there yesterday and built another section of the tower. Pretty soon, these are going to be World Trade Centers, because I guess the deer, we noticed this year the deer have been coming into the backyard. And, oh brother. So I look out and some things are my sensitive plant. Have you any of y'all ever had a sensitive plant? It looks like one of those Japanese fringe trees, and when you touch it, yes, it is. I'm pretty sure they are, Mary. But when you touch the sensitive plant, its leaves close up. And what that is an adaptation to keep themselves from being eaten as easily, because when the animal comes by to eat them and they close up, they're not as noticeable. So any movement, raindrops, anything will cause them to close up. Well, it's bigger than I've ever had one get. I mean, it's like this big around. And the reason I love those, you might wonder, that's a weird plant. I haven't really seen it bloom, although I think it's got some little kind of thing on it. But I got it because I love Thomas Jefferson's garden, and he had them. So it was good enough for me. Now I get my sensitive plant. But it's fun because I go out to feed the squirrels, and of course I go over and tickle the sensitive plant, and it closes all up. But anyway, oh, you have those. Aren't they the cutest things? I love that kind of stuff. And the one plant I wasn't able to get this year was a shrimp plant. I don't know if y'all have had any shrimp plants, but they're so cute. I had a Venus flytrap as a child, but I haven't had one since because I would have to provide the flies, and that was a little gruesome for me. I'm afraid I've never had one outside. There always were inside things, and you had to feed them. And I thought, well, okay, but aren't they awesome? You know, I love the pitcher plant where the insect falls in and can't get back out. So that's all a lot of fun. So anyway, but my yard is, you know, I put a lot of work and money into it, and it doesn't show. But this is just the lost summer. And there's always next year. We'll try again. So Mary said they're a few weeks away from the bucks scraping their antlers on the trees. Oh, I bet you they would do some real damage to your ornamentals and fruit trees. Not a good thing. Oh my goodness. So this week I got the Snails Trail Al Fresco done. I'm very, very excited. Then when I was writing last night the placeholder, I said I finished this because I thought I would have it finished since I'm half the way there. But, oops, forgot that was thread. I don't know where the thread, it went under this dresser. So nope, oh, I got it. So this thread went under my ironing board dresser. And the little thread was poking out. And I said, watch that. When I pull this thread, the thing's going to unwind. And it started to, but I still got it back. So here is, whoops. Here is the Mosaic, Sunflower Mosaic. And I am so close to having the binding done. I like that narrow little binding. I really love that I framed it with the orange mosaic blocks. So I'm really, really happy with this thing. I can't wait to do one again next summer. So y'all put your thinking caps on and help me figure out what design. And I'm going to get out my koi pond mosaic and get that finished because they're fun and they're interesting. And I'll go ahead and show you this. I'm kind of rushing through some things, but here is my Reverse Applique quilt. So here it is, Reverse Applique. I just finished it last night. I think it is cute as can be, but I'm going to tell you, for me, it was a pain in the behindy because I don't know. I have tried one before. I took a class on how to do reverse applique at Myrtle Beach, and I hated that one so badly. I sent it to do you remember our Susan Smith here? I sent it to her because it was like, I can't bear to do this. So I thought, well, this will be fun. And some of you might end up liking it. For me, it was a chore. I found that doing the little clips around and trying to smoothly get it stitched down, because I stitched it by hand. I might have liked it better if I had done it by machine. And to do it by machine, you would have to take, let me go this way, you would have to take and press it under the 1/4 inch seam allowance, press that under, and then, and I don't know which way is top, I'm not sure I wrote on there. Oh, Okay, this is supposedly the top, but I don't know. Well, let me grab my close-up camera, and then I'll show you where I had the problems, because this is not my best. You wound up piecing a couple of the windows. I don't blame you. It got old pretty fast. So let me get close-up camera. All right. So what I've got, let me show you one of my bad ones. Like right here. It's just messy looking. And it's like trying to get that thread tucked down. Oh, this is the camera that does not like all this color, so it's not really showing you the colors good. But see this little piece? It keeps popping out. Now I have tried using fray check with it. I think I need to go around and stitch it again. You have to make tiny little stitches, because when you clip it so to make it easier to fold under, the little clipped pieces come back to haunt you. So let me see. Last night I thought it looked horrible. I'm not seeing it quite as bad now. But do you see how it's just a little messy? Trying to fold it back and stitch it, and then my threads kind of show. We've got to get a new camera here, because the close-ups are not good. Not good enough. But anyway, but folding it all under, having some of the threads and the knots, like here's one right here, the threads want to pop back out. Maybe what I should do is kind of take, with black thread, stitch around the edge, but it's tricky. It's very, very tricky, and then some of the little edges want to try to pop out. So I tried shortening my stitches, but I found it was a kind of a pain. So for me, let me put my close-up camera, whoops, and I've got to be careful with it, because you know it doesn't like it when I do too much. Oh, what is that? Oh my goodness, how did that get there? Okay, so let me come back to my main camera. All right, so it looks good from a distance. It looks real good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you don't care for hand applique, not patient enough. I love regular applique, but the reverse, having to tuck that under, and I like, you know, now in this case, instead of just putting, you saw that, huh, Hopi? So, but in this case, I put the specific fabric color behind where I knew I was going to cut it out. And in some ways that's cheating, because I think what you're supposed to do is kind of put all these colors behind it and then not know what shows through. But you know me, girls, I just don't like big surprises. So, you know, here we go. But anyway, but it was anything you sew is good experience. It helps me to know I don't think I need to do another one. I think I would enjoy it more making these shapes with freezer paper, gluing them onto the back of the freezer paper so they're nice and smooth, then placing them on top of the background. I'll hand stitch them down, and then it's, you know, the same look. But it was worth just giving it a try. Here's the back of it so you can see again how I did it. And I took the muslin, drew the pattern on, and then cut out the shapes on this background black fabric. Cut out the shapes, tucked them under, and hand stitched. So, but I will finish this. I'm going to try a little piece of black fabric with my primary variegated thread. See how that looks. If it's not too much or too tacky, then I'm going to quilt this in the background only with variegated thread. And that way it'll bring the colors into the quilting. If not, I'll just use black thread. So, sometimes there's something to be said for matching the thread to the predominant color of the quilt. And that way, if you make too many boo-boos, they don't show as much. So, I always think of that. So, okay. I know I said I might do the new project, but I think I'm going to save time for doing that. But this is a little hint at what we're going to be doing today. So, it's back to school time here. And what that means for Deb is Walmart has the best back to school deals. So, luckily our Walmart now ships free as long as you order enough. And like that's a problem for me, right? So what I did is went online and looked up the school deals. And I will show you. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way a little. I got so much to show you. I love when I get these new things and show you. And then I can tell you why I got what I did. Okay, because as an artist, you can use some of the same things that our kiddos get for school. Things like I love making sewing journals, and I love the marble notebooks because they're inexpensive, they have lots of pages, they're full size. One of the problems I have with getting journal notebooks is they're small. And I wouldn't even mind if these were legal size. But these are on sale right now. They might be sold out, but I got the college rule because I like to have plenty of space to write or draw. And I cover these with some really pretty art papers or take and make it a leather look cover for it. And I just love making them. I give them for gifts, or if anybody, like at my retreats wants to buy one. But these were on sale for 38 cents a piece. Now, the yellow color is the only color they had left on mine. But that's okay. 38 cents a piece means I can sell them much cheaper if I decide to sell them. And I've shown y'all before how I decorate them, and I will do it again when I start working on these. So I got those 38 cents a piece. Then I got these pencil boxes because these are great for keeping scraps in, for keeping certain tools in there, stamps, whatever. And these were 97 cents each. In fact, I got 3 of them, and I said, Mark, would you like one of these? And he was, sure. And I love it now because he's starting to get his little collections of hobby things. So I got 2 of those. All right. Then I saw these. These are pencil bags. And I thought, how many times do I, in fact, just now, that's why the thread fell on the floor, because I will take scissors and needles and thread and put them inside the fabric and fold it up, and then I forget they're there. So this is going to be a little project bag that I can, and I'm going to put ribbon so I can easily pick it up and carry it, but it's clear and has an actual little zipper. This was about 97 cents, I think. Like it. Okay. Then, when I have a class to take, or like teach you a class like we did in July, or if I go to Myrtle Beach, or any of those, Mancuso, even if I take a class virtually, I like to have these nice folders, and that, especially with pockets, and I will write on the front. Usually I put a label and then write whatever the class is for. And a lot of times, if I really like the pattern, I will keep it in the folder. And that way, if I ever want to revisit it for any reason, I've got it. But these were 6 for $1.40 or something. So, very inexpensive. I got 6 of them. I decided to go ahead and do them in my favorite color, blue. So, got those. Then, I haven't had construction paper in years. And I said, you know, I really would like construction paper. I can use this if I want to cut and paste a mock-up of a quilt. I can use this if I want to do some seasonal decorations. I remember when I first had my little children, that I would love to make leaves and tape up on the wall for fall. But I got this on sale. This was like somewhere $3 or something. It has 120 sheets and 10 colors. Like it. So now I've got construction paper. That will probably last me the rest of my life. Now I buy glue by the gallon. Okay? My favorite is all purpose. The school glue is a little thin and not as, you know, but I'm just using that one up till it's gone, and then I'll stay with the all-purpose. And Mark said, well, you've got gallons of glue. Why are you getting 2 bottles? Because I use them so much. I use them for my paper beads and everything. The bottles get worn out. They start cracking or whatever. Oh, that's cute. Use it. Yeah, you can find so many things to repurpose, Miss Mary. You're right. Lisa's here. Hi, our Lisa. Oh, I miss her. And so, and she's been showing up. So I'm sorry. Thank you for showing up, because otherwise we miss you. But here is the school glue, 50 cents a bottle, and these are just for the bottles, because I'm constantly refilling glue bottles from my gallons of glue. And the gallons of glue are pretty cheap, let me tell you. Then I saw they had Elmer's glue stick. And these are the purple disappearing color. I've never had a problem with the purple discoloring any of my fabrics or anything. These were 50 cents a 2-pack. And so, and then there was I think buy 5 and I don't know, but very, very cheap. So if they're 25 cents per glue stick, do you know how much cheaper that is than applique glue that's made for quilting? These are going to be my go-to. I keep them in the package until I use them to try to make sure they don't dry up. I've heard some people say, oh, well, you can put them in the freezer and they'll last longer. I don't know. I've never tried it. But you know, with my love of applique and with quilting, paper piecing, you use these, and now I have enough for the whole year. It's so tempting to want to buy the official quilting glue sticks, but they're like 10 times more expensive. And you know what? No, I can have more fun and do more. So then I bought some good pencils. These were, for 12 pencils, they were about $2.97. That's more expensive. You can get them even cheaper, but they're so cheap. Like Mark said, that the graphite in the center is not centered, so it's really hard to sharpen them. Or the wood that they put them in doesn't sharpen well at all. And these, I think I read, were made from bamboo, so that's exciting. I think that's what I read. And which I would like if that's the case. Now I don't see it on here now. I like bamboo is so renewable. But I got good pencils. Mark already sharpened a bunch for me because I do go through pencils. Almost every pattern pattern and idea, I use pencils to write it out. Then I bought, these were on sale, half the price that I normally used to get them from Amazon. So I think here they were like $1.47 for a pack of 10. These are very important to me. They're white, high polymer erasers. When you use a normal pencil that has a red eraser or a blue eraser has dyes in it. So while you're erasing on fabric, it leaves dye behind. And I have had quilts, I can't get that off. So now I only use white erasers, and these high polymers are great. You go through them faster because they're a softer eraser, but they work really well. That softness helps them work. So I got, I think, 5 packs. One of them fell out of the box, but oh well, the box wasn't quite open. Then they had colored pencils, 97 cents a box. So I got another box. I still have some, but this way I can use them freely. It's such a good practice to do a mock-up of the colors you're going to use in the quilt, because that's how you're going to find out if you're going to like it or not. I had a woman 30 years ago tell me, when you start a quilt, make a first block. Make sure you're happy with your colors, because if you cut it all out first and you don't like it, then the whole thing is ruined. So coloring is another way to make sure that you're going to like the final product. Then I got some fine line Crayola markers. Now, having grandkids over, it's always good to have these things, but this time I went ahead and got a finer lined markers, and the markers are great for all kinds of things. So I think that's it for my school supplies that I got. But now's the time to get them. I used to get a bunch of college ruled notebooks, but I tend not to use I used to keep my whole life in a notebook, but I tend not to use them as much. On Last Homely House with Kate Jackson, when she sits down to do a quilt, she gets a big quilting notebook out and she writes down her thoughts and what fabrics and draws the picture of it and all that. I don't really do that. And it sounds like a cool idea, but I'm not sure I really need to do it. But it might be something you would think about doing. And in that case, I can make one of these journals for my sewing. You know, I remember about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was all the rage to keep a binder of all the quilts you made, and who you gave them to, and where you got the fabric, and pictures of them. I've never managed to do that. I thought about it. I saw one woman who actually did. That was really nice. And it would have been good, because the first few years of quilting, I gave them all away. They were all for gifts. So, but anyway, see this is a Dixon. It's one of the cheaper pencils. They're really hard to get a good point on them. And so those new ones, oh my, they sharpen to a really fine point. But anyway, I've never managed to do a binder. I try to remember to take pictures of my quilts, and I've got them in a place on my computer. But I'm always looking down the road at the next new thing. So I think that's one of my biggest problems. I'm also one of these people that when you have Christmas get-together, I never think to take pictures because I'm too much in the moment. So Meltem is here. Hi, Meltem. Meltem sent me some new pictures of her vacation. Can't wait to show you those. So all right, now we're down to the new little project that I thought of. Now, I didn't think of this all on my own. I picked up a Quilting Arts magazine from 7 years ago, and what's her name? Jill Thorpe? I'm not sure. Oh boy. She said to dye your fabrics and to make patterns on your home dyed fabrics. Think of using a glue gun. I thought, I've got a glue gun. So I started playing with it last night. So now let me get my close-up camera working, and let's see. I always lose. Come on. Okay. There we go. All right. Now, here we are. Okay. Got my paper towels right here handy. Got my glue gun. Got all of this. All right. So, what I saw this woman do is she used her glue gun. Let me real quickly here. You know what? Maybe it's just faster if I do this and put it on and then let it cool. Okay. Let me try to do this real quick. What I'm trying to do is have handles because I want to be careful. Okay. I want to be able to stamp these different designs. So hold on just a second here. We put plenty of glue on these. Of course, I didn't think about putting the handles on until just a few minutes before the show today. You know how Deb is. Alright, I'll put this upside down to get that to hold. And I made these when I was back doing some, whoops, let me get a new glue stick. Mark some years ago bought a whole big box of these great big glue sticks. So that's why I'm like, ooh, I've got glue sticks. I can do that because they were pretty cheap and they last a long time. Okay, so here's this one. And then I'll give you, as soon as I get these glued on and drying, let me, okay, get this one on. Now that surface is not the same size as this stencil, but I will now go over it from the beginning. Alright. Yay! I'll do it from the beginning and show you what I've got. Okay. I like, Mark says, I used this pad, this cutting pad you gave me to put that on. I thought, what a great idea. Okay. Now, what I'm going to show you first is what I did first. What I did is I went on the computer and I found designs. Good designs to use. Let me turn this glue gun sideways. It's taking up too much space. Okay. And I hope I'm not missing anybody, but if anybody comes in, it's so good to have you. But like, look at this design. What you have to do when you make we're going to make hot glue stencils. I guess, well, I don't know if you can call them a stencil or a stamp. Now, in this one, I found there was no design right here. And when you do hot glue, the more points of contact you have, the more stable the stamp is. Here is what I made from this drawing. And what I did is I put it on the table, and then with this one I put wax paper on. But that had its own problem, so let me show you. By putting it on, I put wax paper over the design. Let me find this design. But see, I just went in and tried to find things that would be easy to make into a stamp. Here is the pattern for this one. So you can see right there how I did this. I took and put a piece of wax paper on it. The problem with that is then the wax paper is stuck on it. She said use parchment paper. I didn't have any. I thought, well, wax paper will work. Well, the problem is then when you try to pull it off, you have to tear out all of the paper that's in the little spaces between the glue. So this is going to end up being rather murky, and it's a lot of work to tear out. So I'll do it when I have time to sit down and do it. But let me show you the stamps and the designs. This one I just made up. I wanted something with just straggly lines. Made that one up. Then this one I just made up. Just took a circle and started going round and round and made sure I had connections in between the outer circles, because without the connections it would be so floppy. And all of these are done with 2 layers of hot glue. This one came from right here. I did it over top. Now this one was done a different method. These were all done on wax paper, which I showed you the problem, because I thought I could peel the glue off the wax paper. No, you can't. It's hot glue and it goes through the wax on the wax paper and makes the paper stick, and that is the problem. Alright, so then when I was sitting there doing this, feeling all special about myself, my genius husband came in and said, I see you have this silicone sheet there. And I said, yes, because after I get some stamps made, I'm going to use this to dye the fabric. He said, well, I was looking at thinking, what if you did the pattern right on the silicone? And I said, well, wouldn't it melt the silicone? He goes, oh no, silicone won't melt. And so let's try one of the, and another thing I wanted to tell you is I put this is a 2-level heat gun, so I put it on low because I said, you know what, if it comes out thicker, that will be better. So now I'm just going to show you how I made the circles. You have to kind of be careful because I wanted it to look, I didn't want it to look so wobbly. So, but this is, oh my gosh, this made all the difference doing it on this instead of wax paper. So now that he showed that he had the idea for me to do this, I can make, oh, whoops. Now right here, I drug the handle through the glue. Let me get the glue. I don't want it all over. Let me patch this up real quick. Let me fold up that handle. But if you have it on this low temp like this, then it comes out thicker and it's more easy to handle. Because if you had it on a high temp, it would run out much faster. But if all you have is 1 temp, then just do it. Don't worry. Don't let anything like that stop you. It's just when he told me he had a heat gun, hot glue gun that had 2 speeds, I was like, yeah, I think that would do better. Okay, so make sure that, don't worry about the little strings. They're easy to take off later. So now what I'm going to do is I need to connect all these loops, because if you don't connect them, they will fall apart. It's like if you've ever seen a stencil. They have to be held together. So now I'm just going to run some beads of glue across. And start again here and go across. But this, you could, I was just thinking, boy, I could have done a spider web. That'd be cool. To do a spider web, I would just have it arch a little bit more. But, okay, now I want to make sure that every area is actually connected, because sometimes it gets a little thin in between. Make sure everything is connected. Make sure that there aren't any gaps. Sometimes you'll get a little gap in one of your lines. And then make sure they're all a pretty good thickness. Okay, so this used up a few inches of the glue gun, in the glue gun. Let me see. Make that a little. So I just kind of look over it and say, do I need to thicken this up? Just a touch. Because when you go to pull this off, you'll see where if it's too thin, it might come apart. But you remember, some of you might remember me trying some dyeing of fabric and trying to use the waxed resist, and then I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and unplug this heat gun. I don't think I need it again. And then I have tried using clear glue and didn't really have the best results, sadly. Let me put a little bit more hot glue down this side. I was experimenting freehand. This didn't come out quite as good as I would have wished. It's supposed to be interconnecting hearts, and of course you have to run the line down because everything has to be attached. But now I think this is cool enough. You just let this cool a little bit. But look at this. Is that the coolest thing? And you know, then my mind goes racing and I think, ooh, if I got good enough at this, I could do Christmas ornaments, you know, do stars or snowflakes or whatever. So my brain gets going. But look at that. Now you've got a stamp or a stencil, whatever you want to call it. All right. So then, you know what? I might take this one off because I like the new one better. And the hot glue, I was just holding them on real quick while we were here, but it doesn't look like it's the best decision to hold them on. So, I'm going to put this here, turn it over, and put a little pressure to make sure it sticks to it long enough for me to do what I want to do today. It's not good over here. But this got me thinking of what kind of fun things that I could do. And because it's all about having fun, you know? And so yeah, it doesn't really, I think if I were careful enough to go around the design with the hot glue, I'm sure I could get it to work better. But that's okay. We're on the fly today. Alright, and I'm going to show you why I put these on in just a minute. Alright, so I've got my piece of silicone. This is what I do all my painting on. Then I've got some fabric. And it's really good if you're going to do any dyeing or painting to wash your fabric with soap and water. Rinse it real well. That gets out all of the sizing they spray on it, which makes it better for handling and shipping. Now, one thing I did, and this was as an experiment, is I tried taking a piece of fabric and putting the hot glue right on the fabric. Then I tried lifting a bit off to see would it just sink into the fabric and not be able to be pulled off, or could I actually pull it off? Because the woman who wrote her article, she would place the hot glue design on top of the fabric and then use a spritz bottle to spritz the dye over it. And the dyes I used were the Dynaflow samplers from Jacquard, and they are fabric dyes in the bottle. One thing that I did, and it didn't show up as doing this until it was dry, but be careful using opposite colors, because when opposite colors mix together, they create brown. So this, sadly, I put too much color on this. I rubbed it in too much, and it's duller than I wanted. So, this is tricky to peel off, but it is possible to peel off, and it does leave the design underneath. Now, let me see. If I had put these on a little thicker, it'd probably be easier to get them off. Okay, here we go. So, let me get you a little closer so you can see. But I took and put the template for this design under the fabric, and then just took the hot glue gun. I'm afraid that if I tried to melt it with an iron, that it would become a mess and smear. So what I'll probably do is get maybe a plastic disposable kind of little knife or wooden popsicle stick, and whoops, let me keep it on here, and to help me peel off the glue. But I found a new resist. Now it takes time to do this, so what I'm going to do now is get ready and try to stamp it and see how that works with you here. So, but I'm hoping that I'm peeling off enough for you to see it actually worked. It provided a great resist. But I wouldn't want to do a lot of fabric this way. But I wanted to see, would it actually work? And, you know, then it made me think, oh, you could make labels for quilts. And I don't know, I just was thinking, can you take the glue gun and write names on it or something, you know? But it's just another fun little thing to have in your bag of tricks. But, let me see. But anyway, as you see, and it doesn't affect the feel of the fabric. It doesn't get into the weave. That's what I wanted to make sure. When I put it on the fabric, I looked on the back to see if it was seeping through, and it wasn't. So that was good, because if it got into the weave, then it was not, it would have messed up the fabric. So this will probably make a journal cover, something like that. You know, you can find little things to do with these little experimentations. But I just thought I would show you that. It's just something new and different. So now, if you're ready, now I'm going to put away these Dynaflow paints for right now, because stamping them, I think the Dynaflow paint will be too thin. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get a piece of fabric. Now sadly I have not pre-washed this, but I think for just demonstration purposes it's fine. But it's really good to get any sizing off, and that way the fabric has a better chance of being color fast if you do. So now I'm going to put this piece of fabric here, and I'm going to try stamping it this time. Now you could always pre-dye, let me bring this up, you could always pre-dye your fabric and then stamp a design. Let's just see. But these are two different ways of doing it. Or, like she did, you can lay these on the fabric. And I'm wondering, if you laid it, well, I don't have my iron ready, but I was wondering if you lightly touched it with an iron, would it stick enough to the fabric that you could then put the color on? And so But you know what she did is she made the stencils and laid them, then spritzed the dye on them. And so then when you lifted it up, it had the design and the color. So that's one technique that she taught in the article very well. The other thing I'm going to do is I've gotten some acrylic paint. Oh, that's right. Let me grab some fabric medium. I forgot that it's really good to use textile medium, because when you do use textile medium, let me see if I can get this open. Whoops, I'm not sure I can get it open. Let me grab a bottle of textile medium. Okay, so I've got my textile medium, and this here is the most new bottle of this I got. And let me shake it first just to make sure. Alright, so I'm going to put some textile medium over here. This will serve two purposes. Textile medium helps allow the paint to absorb into the fibers of the cloth so that it becomes permanent. So now what I'm going to do is take a brush and textile medium, put it in this paint. Now you normally, if I'm using acrylic paint, and you definitely want to use textile medium in it, let me get some more to run in there. You want about a 50-50 mix. Sometimes I'll even thin out my paint to make so that it doesn't sit up on top of the fabric, but kind of becomes part of the fabric. But in this case, I don't want to do that, and I'll show you why. Now I'm going to use this surface and put the paint on here. Alright. Let me put this over here, put the paint on this, then I can take and run it on this sprayer. I'm going to try this and see how it works. And I always like to try it with you here so we can see if it works or doesn't. I might want to end up putting it on using this paintbrush and dabbing it onto the stamp itself. But let's see. Alright, so I've got that on there. Then I can load it a little bit more. Alright, I'm going to put it on this stamp. I'm going to run the brayer. Ugh, I worried about this. I'm not, well, might just take a few more passes. This brayer is awful stiff. I haven't really used it. But the more I use it, the more it'll hopefully loosen up. But I like the idea of using a brayer because it only then it will stick on the top of the stencil or the stamp and not gum up down in the works. Now, just to make sure I have a good enough impression, I'm going to use the brush to put some more on. In fact, I want to buy a gel pad. They're a little expensive, but I'd like to get one because evidently it's really easy to get the paint on it. So now I'm going to come over here to the fabric. Right here, and I'm going to press this on, and where there's not any wood to press on the stamp, I'll just use my fingers, press it on good, and then carefully lift it off. Well, okay, it's going to need more paint, and it probably will have to be a little thinner. So what I'm going to do is brush some more on and try it again. And this is going to take some getting used to. I've never been a stamper. Any of you who have done scrapbooking would know better how to stamp. And another thing to remember is it's uneven. So I'm going to have to put a little more pressure on it to get all of the areas. Let me take the time to really put the pressure on the stamp. So this is not really dyeing the fabric as much as making a pattern with the paint. Alright, so it's not as good a result as I would like. Not as good. So now what I'm going to do, let me try to clean this off a little. And I think that, you know what? I put the top out. I should have used the flat edge. You know what I'm saying? The back edge. Because with the top being uneven, let me do this. I'll try this one. Let me peel this off and glue it rough side down so that the smooth side is sticking out. Let's see if that gives a better process. And otherwise, I'm going to have to get some tiny little misting bottles to put the dye in. Come on. Oh, I unplugged the glue gun. I was like, why is the glue not coming out? Okay, let me plug that in. Alright, let me give that a second to heat up. But now, while I've got this down, let me try something here. Because, you know, I love trying all kinds of different things. What would happen, and I'm wondering if I were to lightly touch a warm iron to the back of the fabric, would it cause that to stick more? But let me try something, because I like trying all different kinds of ways of doing this. What would happen if, nope, I already see it going under. So that's why she used the spray bottle, because I can see that going under. So that's not going to work. I thought, well, let me try this. No, I don't think that's going to work. That doesn't look good. That looks like a bad case of the measles. So that's not going to work. Alright. Let me wipe off this brush before. You know what? I do have a tray of water over here to put the brayer in. So I've got that. Let me get those resting. Alright. So now, let me clean this off. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and stick this on the stamp. I'm just going to try to use the warm nose of the gun to try to, I don't know. It's still warming up. Okay. So, now, well, I know this works, but boy, does that seem like a tough way to get a design on a piece of fabric. I wish there was a way to like do one design and have it folded and have it work through the whole thing, but don't think that's going to work. But it is good to see that this does act as a very good resist. Normally with batik fabrics, they have a chop that it's made of copper, little copper strips. That makes the design. They dip it into the wax and put it on the fabric, and wherever that wax touches the fabric, whatever color is there stays, and then that way they immerse the rest into a dye. So I have tried it, and it's hard. That's why the chops are thin slivers of copper, so that the design comes out so well. Because I tried carving some stamps, but the wax just was too thick to really make the design work. And also the chops are pretty deep, probably like a 1/2 inch, so that the wax doesn't fill up everything. All right, let's try this again. Yes, I've got some glue coming out, so let me put some more glue on this and glue the stamp with the smooth side up. Let's see if that works any better. Okay, smooth side up, rough side down. Okay, whoops, don't get on the paint. Alright. Oh, no, didn't get enough on there. Sometimes it doesn't quite work like I was hoping, but I always like seeing what will happen if I do this, what happens. If I had more time, I would scrape the old glue off. Okay, put this on, press down, and see if I got enough glue to hold it. Now while I'm doing that, I'm going to take my paintbrush that's been rinsed. I'm going to add this textile medium. Whoops, my paintbrush wasn't fully clean. Okay, textile medium to it. I'm not going to add any more. I'm going to leave this one just a little thicker. This is a nice lemon yellow. Okay, so now this is a little thicker. And I'm going to take this stamp and I'm going to go ahead and just brush this on. Whoops, don't get too, nope, its stamp's already coming off. Pooh, it's got so, let me try something, guys. Hold on just a second. Well, instead of doing this, let me move over to this one. Oh, let me move, whoops, nope, this is falling off too. Man, I got that first one to hold on so much better. I think these have a lot of spaces where the glue doesn't really hold on. Okay, let's try this. Try to put the paint on just the top if I can. See how this will work. So we tried about a year or two ago, whoops, we tried the clear glue. It didn't really work. It just didn't hold up to the dyes and the movement, and the colors went under the glue. I think you would have to use a whole lot of clear glue. Okay, so this is pretty good. You can use a brush like this because it skims across the top. Alright, now this is the smooth side, so I'm hoping it's going to work better. So now I'm going to flip it over and press hard. Go around the side edges. And I'm wondering if I got this on, then could I then come in with the jacquard dies and dye the rest. This is a better print, so it does work a little better, but it's still not perfect. Let me see if I can wipe some of this excess off. Normally what you would want to do is to take these and very gently wash them in a sink. So, and I try to keep wet wipes down here so that I can clean up my hands and any other messes. I'm going to try this one more time, putting a little more paint in some of these center patterns. Okay. Okay, let's try this. I don't know if I have enough paint on here. Okay. Well, I'm thinking this is not going to work that good, but one thing I'm going to do this coming up week is try what that one woman, the artist, did. Lay them on. I've got to get little spritz bottles to put the dye in, and then I'll try dyeing it over. Now that actually came out better than the first ones. So, okay. Well, that is that. But honestly, this is more of what I was looking for. Let me move this out of the way. Let me get these. I'll clean these up soon as we're done here. Okay, got that. Let me put this just quickly cleaned up. So now, okay, let me try one thing really quickly. Acrylic dries pretty fast, so let me move this over here. All right, let me try something. Let me get this off. I love these silicone mats. They are phenomenal. Okay, get that out of the way. What I'm going to try is, especially here, what happens now if I come back the colors that you don't want to mix are going to be red and green. They'll make brown. Blue and orange will probably make brown. Complementary colors will often turn very muddy. Whoops! Turn very muddy on you. Now, what I'm going to do is I've got this regular spritz bottle. So I'm going to spritz. And as long as I don't put a brush, because I don't know if they're dry enough. Now, let me try some of these dyes. I'm going to try a magenta and a purple. Might look real pretty with this yellow. Let's see. Now I could see this working better. to put down your stamp design with a thinned acrylic with textile. Alright, so now, and then come and put a lot of water to cause those dyes to spread out so they don't stay dots. Now if the paint, let me clean this brush again. Let's see what happens if, clean this brush, what happens if you try to pull the colors out? Where the blue was dry, it's working beautifully. It's allowing me to pull the paint without the blue dislodging. But I can see having it a little spray bottle would work really, really well. But here, I don't know if this dried long enough, but let's just see what it will do. Yeah, I think, oh, nope, now that spread, because it wasn't the yellow, since I just did it, it was still a little soft, but the blue had been here long enough. The blue-green paint had been here long enough. So, interesting. It gives me some ideas of things I can try. It's kind of nice to have new tools in the toolbox. But I'm not going to get bonkers. I'm not going to go crazy making a bunch of stamps with hot glue, because I think it's just a little cumbersome. I think a good ice dye is wonderful. So that red really dotted. I'm sad in a way that it's so circular, but all right, there, we tried something. And let me see, I don't want to, so these little pieces of fabric you can turn into quilt postcards, you can turn into mug rugs. So when I look at this stuff, I think, don't discount it, because there are things you can do that can come out really pretty. So I don't want to waste this little piece of fabric. Well, let me try adding some more. And that way when this dries, it'll have little pieces I can use for something. Now let's put some blue up in this corner. I'm going to do a little blue here to see what that does. But just be careful, you don't want to turn, this blue and red may turn brown. And it might not look like it's brown when you first do it, but as it dries and spreads, do some purple. I love these exciter kits because they do come in the little bottles, so you can just squirt a little bit on in a certain place. And okay, so we'll see what happens. I think it's worth a try. I'll see how it dries. Let it dry in place. I do like this, so I am going to keep that in mind, because I like the way, I don't like the red dots, but I like the it kind of looks like filigree, and I like that look. This is very dazzling. It almost gives it a glow, like, you know, so there's probably a place and a time that could really be advantageous. So we played with something, and that's what I've always told you. Summer is about playing and experimenting. So this is definitely experimenting. Let me put this in a safe place to dry. If I left it, you see how it was turning brown under it? If you leave it there, those colors will tend to absorb and migrate and turn it more brown. So, let me get this cleaned up. And then we're going to do show and tell. Oh, let me clean up my fingers here. All right. In fact, I'm going to take and put all the stuff I need to wash inside this silicone. So it'll kind of keep it from fully drying out until I have a chance to wash it. And I'm going to unplug my glue gun, move my water out of the way, and get a new wet wipe. So, Mark went to get in the car last night, and the battery had died. So we had to get a new battery today. But you know, that car has been so good. It hasn't given us really any trouble. Okay, so I've got my wet wipes to clean off, but that was kind of fun. But you see what I mean about the fabric getting dull if the colors mix up too much. So just keep that in mind, because you know, you put a dot and it looks great, so you put a couple more dots, but be careful. So, all right, I think we covered everything I wanted to cover with that. So now I want to go and look at your photos. I got more paint on my fingers. You can't take me anywhere. So let's go to your pictures. Show and tell. Okay, here we go. All right. Oh, I had my daughter's garden pictures. They were lovely. Okay, go back to show and tell. We saw those last week. And then Bonnie, who has done such a great job. That woman works fast. Really does. But I sent her some orphan blocks, because just remember that if you look through and you've got projects you started that your heart's not into, see if you can pass those on to a new home and somebody else who will then love them. And so Bonnie took the 3 little orphan blocks that I don't even really remember making, and she turned them into mug rugs and a candle mat. So here is this one. Whoops, did I show? Oops, you know what I did? Pardon me. I forgot to bring it over. All right, here we are. So, let me fill this up. There we go. And make it a little bigger. I love this. So look at that. I'm trying to think, this one maybe is going to be a candle mat. Then this is going to be a mug rug. And let me see. This is a wonderful block of the month she finished. I love it. And you know what? That could be used for Christmas, but it's not so distinct that it couldn't just be used all the time. Has anyone tried Chisme thread? It's supposed to shrink after quilting and make texture. Ooh. Hi, Dolores. I just now read hi. I've seen it. I have never actually tried it. I have a little kit of it upstairs, and I have been too chicken to try it. I think you stitch the pattern and then you iron it and it shrinks up. And, ooh, that would be really neat. In fact, I was thinking of you, Dolores, because I know that you have used those threads that you can brush out and turn them into like a furry thing. And, I forgot now what they're called. I think it starts with an F, but that is something I have wanted to do and have yet to do. So Dolores is our expert artist. I tell you, she's so talented. All right, now let me now go see what else we've got. And Debbie has, I think she's on vacation right now, but here is are two of Debbie's Snail Trail Al Fresco filet thread. Yes. And how does it do? Once you've stitched it, you thread paint with it, and then you take a stiff or a metal bristle brush and gently comb it, and it becomes like fake fur, or just has a soft look. So there's Debbie's. But does it work well for you, Miss Dolores? Because Miss Dolores does. In fact, Miss Dolores had her Not a Llama on Quilting Arts. We saw it too. It was exciting. So I love that she is so talented. Probably getting ready. Miss Hopi's getting ready for fall craft shows and art shows. And I have a feeling our Dolores is too, getting very busy. When we first met, she had broken her leg or hip, I think leg, was in a wheelchair confined to one room of her house, and she has healed and come back so well. So we're really tickled. This is Miss Hopi's work, and I love these wonderful northern lights. I love the dog sled team because Miss Hopi lives up near Labrador in Canada. So I loved seeing how her location affects it. It doesn't, she said the filing thread doesn't work as well as she likes, but she started brushing long strands and then stitching it on with couching. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay. Thanks for telling me that, because I have some of it. I just haven't used it. And this is, oh, now I forgot, Miss Hopi, what lake this is. But in fact, I have the picture of it. Let me see if I can track down. That is her Snails Trail Al Fresco. Oh, Joe, you were on Textile Talks. Yes. Oh, that was really neat. I loved seeing all. Was it the one with the birds? People doing the birds. It was wonderful. Textile Talks. It's every Wednesday, 2 p.m. New York time to 3 p.m. New York time. It is run by SAQA, S-A-Q-A, the Studio Art Quilters Association. And they have sponsors like the Quilt Show and others. And it's a free lecture every Wednesday. And so if you go to SAQA, you can then sign up and they will send you a free link, and it's done in Zoom context. And I love it because it brings all different forms of our art into focus. Here's the original picture Miss Hopi used, and here is what she produced from that. And know that this embroidery was done by hand. So if you're afraid or not comfortable using your machine to do the thread painting or embroidery, look what you can do by hand over it. I thought this was a beautiful, beautiful interpretation of her photo. Way to go, Miss Hopi. So Miss Hopi's getting her amazing totes. Don't forget it's Hopi. Oh no, Hopi, I forgot again. What is your website? Grand Lake. Okay, that was a picture of Grand Lake. HopiSomething.com. For her totes are amazing. Amazing. And this is a quilt she made, I think, for old Ralph. I'm trying to remember his name. And then I love this with a matching little bag. That is so cute. That looks like for a granddaughter. And love this. Good job. So thank you, Miss Hopi, for sending those. And now, whoops. Okay. Let me go back. Miss Joso's. I love, she has a couple quilts, and then she has made the cutest, I love this attic windows. And she has made then this wonderful three-dimensional block. I love that. The three-dimensional look-alike. And then, her bucket hats are great. And aren't these the cutest? They're so professional looking too. Okay. Aren't they wonderful? Her fabric choices are the best. Way to go, Miss Joso's. So there's a lot of talent in this group, and I am honored to have y'all here. All right, let's see. Miss Mary. Oh my gosh. Well, you know Miss Mary has been busy. First, she did her second of the Tilda Kitschy Friends doll. And I think there's another picture of it this way. So cute. Miss Mary puts a bit of herself in everything she does. And I love it because it's her own take. Then here is her, part of her Al Fresco, Snails Trail Al Fresco, the class that we did in, it's only 2 hats? Oh, it's reversible. Oh, I thought you had an assembly line, Miss Jo. Goodness, I love the reversible. What a great idea. And then here is Miss Mary's. It looks like maybe this is Minky, or maybe it's a pattern. But I love her birdies on a wire, her take, and I love the personality she brought those. And wait a minute, there's another one. I'm trying to get to it. Maybe I have to go back this way. Let me see. There. And this is her Sunflower Mosaic. And I love the blackbirds. I just love this. Isn't that the cutest thing? So I love when y'all take a pattern and run with it and make it all your own. That's fantastic. And you know, I like you did the veining of the leaves. I think I need to figure out something like that. So thanks for giving me that idea, Miss Mary. All right, let's see who is next. I know I have a new one from Cheryl, and I have some new things from Melton. And let me see, Marcia Hun. Oh, she sent. This is her 3-dimensional flowers. I love, love, love it. Art quilts just fill me with such joy. I just love them. Isn't that great? So thank you, Miss Marcia, for sharing those. Okay. Oh, and then she was saying she saves her husband's lunch meat containers and uses them to put projects in. And that's wonderful. I find if I have my work in a container, I'm more likely to pick it up and do something with it. Make it easy on yourself. The best way of Melton, I'm going to come back to Melton's folder. But the best way to be productive is to make it easy to do. That's whether it's placement of your bird feeder, make it easy to fill. Anything that if you are put off in any way, then it's too hard to get to. So make it very easy. And I love this. This is like a shadow 9-patch. And I think she was saying, this is a good place, Polly. I think Polly's here. Polly's having a hard time to get it to hang straight, and she wanted some advice. But I know if you get 2 sides square and straight, the rest will happen. I usually start by straightening the bottom of my quilt, and I lay out rulers so I can make sure I have it exactly horizontal. And then that first side, usually it's my left side of my quilt, I make sure I have a 90-degree angle. So you get this trimmed first, making sure you've got it as close to horizontal as possible, then have a 90-degree angle that goes up this side, okay? And you do that by maybe using 2 rulers and having one go horizontal, butting the vertical one straight up against it, so you know you've got a 90-degree angle. Then the rest all come off of that one corner. Because it is important. They hang better that way, but that's a beautiful quilt, hon. I love her use of rich, saturated color. And then Miss Cheryl, I showed you her Snails Trail block from last week. And now she has sent me, whoops, these are her other wonderful. Now here is a completed block. And I love your colors. This is a party. Isn't that wonderful? That looks like a wonderful summertime party. Isn't that great? Just finished piecing the main blocks for oh, that's wonderful. Oh, hon, you are there. That is wonderful. And so just every time you see this quilt that we worked on for our class, remember these background colors and the focus fabrics in the blocks, because look at how exciting each one is and what makes it a winner. And this is just so happy and bright. I really, really love this. So good job, Cheryl. Good job. Goodness gracious, I love it. Okay, so now we'll go back to Meltem. And Meltem took a vacation, and we are so... did I not download them? I'm not seeing them. Oh no. Oh no, Meltem, I might have failed to actually download them. Oh, pooh. Miss Meltem, I am so sorry. I know that I was so excited, and I wrote you back and said, oh, this is so exciting. Now, hold on. Let me just try something here. I need to... Whoops. I need to down... No, I'm not going to be able to do it. Oh, darn. Miss Meltem, I apologize from the bottom of my heart. It was late when I looked at them, and I thought I had downloaded them, and I hadn't. But she's got another video to share with you, and some photos of her vacation in Turkey. She went with her 2 brothers. I'm sure she had a great time, and I will definitely make sure to have those downloaded and ready for next week. I promise. This morning I got up a little early so I could do a jitsi with my grandson, and I was still sleepy. So I apologize, Miss Meltem. I will have them next Sunday, and be ready because you're going to love them. And I think next Sunday is August 24th, I think. So we'll be ready for that. I apologize. All right. I think I've covered everything. I told you I was busy this week and got a lot done, and I'm still going to work on this. But you know me, I like trying different things. Not everything works out, but you know what? I think the fun is in trying it and seeing what you can get it to do. And now that I have tried that one, it's still drying, so I can't pick it up. I really like, I'm going to make another stamp that has a really rustic look, and try stamping that, letting it dry really well, and then dyeing the fabric. Or maybe I'll dye the fabric and then stamp that, because I love that stamp. It wasn't all, here I thought it was a failure because it didn't all come through, but what did was fascinating. So I am going to keep that method and just keep working at it to get it a little more perfected. So, because I think that could make a really interesting focus fabric. Well, everyone, y'all are the very best. I hope that you did something good for yourself this week. Perfect timing. Mark is just driving up. And I am in the mood to do some polymer clay. So, hopefully, I'm going to take a little time. Sorry about the dogs. I'm going to take a little time this week and work on some Hush! They are so excited when Daddy comes home, let me tell you. But I'm going to definitely take some time to work on polymer clay. I'm going to try to work in some metallic thin leaf into the clay and see what I can do. I'm not that good at clay, and lately I've been watching YouTube videos and it makes me want to try it. The woman makes it look so easy. So, take good care of yourself. I hope you will find something that would excite your senses this week to try. And I hope if your weather is hot and humid like it is here, that it's only going to get cooler, because that would be really nice. And happy birthday again, my dear Donnie. Those Donnie and Russell are the two sweetest boys. I just love them. So, have a great week. Do something just for you. Not for anybody else, just something just for you. Take good care. Pardon me, hiccup. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Y'all are the best. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.